Imagine waking up one day and realizing that for the first time in your life, you are not in a hurry. You're not running towards something or away from something. You are simply here, breathing, aware, calm. No fear of being behind, no anxiety about what's next. Just a quiet, grounded sense that everything is as it should be. This is the feeling of someone who has finally figured life out, not because he found a secret formula or discovered the perfect mindset, but because he stopped searching for one. He understood something most people never do, that life isn't meant to be mastered, only lived. But how does someone reach that point? How does a person go from restlessness, anxiety, and endless striving to clarity, peace, and presence? The truth is, most people never get there. Not because they can't, but because something invisible is holding them back. We are going to expose a silent force that may be sabotaging your success, happiness, and potential without you even realizing it. This force is passivity, the habit of standing still while life moves forward. It is a subtle, invisible trap that keeps you from making the changes you know you need to make. And the worst part? Most people never break free from it, but you will. Because by the end of this video, you will not only understand how passivity is controlling your life, but you will also discover the most powerful way to break free. And trust me, the final insight is the most important of all. One that could be the key to unlocking a future of action, confidence, and unstoppable momentum. Passivity is one of the most destructive psychological patterns a person can develop. It doesn't always feel like a problem at first. In fact, it often disguises itself as patience, overthinking, or the illusion of being careful. But in reality, it's a slow poison. It keeps you in situations that do not fulfill you. It allows fear to dictate your decisions. It convinces you that waiting is the best option, when deep down, you know that action is the only way forward. And this is where his story begins. The man who figured life out. He wasn't extraordinary. He wasn't a genius or enlightened guru. He was just like everyone else, ambitious, restless, always chasing something he couldn't quite name. He believed that life was a race, and that peace waited for him at the finish line. He built goals like walls, promotions, possessions, validation. He thought happiness lived in after success, after recognition, after the next version of himself who finally had it all together. But no matter how fast he ran, the finish line kept moving. Every achievement faded. Every victory turned hollow. He was progressing on paper, but going nowhere inside. Until one morning, he realized something terrifying. He wasn't really living. He was maintaining. He had mastered survival, not existence. His life looked full, but it felt empty. And that's when it hit him. He was suffering not from failure, but from passivity. Not the kind where you do nothing, but the kind where you do everything except what matters. For years, he had been mistaking movement for meaning. Every day was filled with tasks, goals, routines, yet all of it was just noise. He realized that activity without awareness is just another form of avoidance. So he stopped. He stopped chasing, planning, and perfecting. He stopped trying to control life and started trying to feel it. At first, it was uncomfortable. Stillness felt wrong. Silence felt heavy. But soon, something miraculous happened. Beneath the noise, he heard something he hadn't heard in years: himself. He began to understand that peace doesn't come when you finish everything. It comes when you stop needing to. He started observing his thoughts instead of believing them. He started choosing his responses instead of reacting. He discovered that stillness wasn't emptiness, it was clarity. Psychologists call this the progress trap, the illusion that constant movement equals improvement. But progress without presence is just another form of escape. He began to see how the world had normalized distraction. Everyone he knew was addicted to motion, scrolling, running, chasing, terrified of standing still because stillness reveals the truth. He realized that the true disease wasn't failure, but busyness. The world had mistaken chaos for purpose. But here's what he learned. Motion isn't progress, awareness is. He started doing less, but with more meaning. He worked slower, but deeper. He listened instead of waiting to reply. He rested without guilt. And for the first time, he began to feel alive. But then came the hardest part, facing comfort. Comfort had always been his safe place. It told him he was okay, that he didn't need to change, that things weren't that bad. But comfort, he discovered, is the silent killer of growth. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It convinces you that fine is enough. It replaces fulfillment with familiarity. He realized that his comfort zone wasn't peace, it was paralysis. So, he made a promise to himself. Whenever fear and comfort collided, he would choose the direction that scared him more. Because fear meant growth, and comfort meant decay. Every meaningful step he took from then on began with discomfort. Starting the conversation he'd avoided, taking the risk he'd postponed, saying no when it was easier to say yes. He learned that courage doesn't eliminate fear, it simply refuses to obey it. Still, one illusion remained: control. He had spent years trying to plan every detail, to avoid every uncertainty, to control every outcome. But control, he realized, is just fear with better branding. He saw that life doesn't reward the one who holds on the tightest. It rewards the one who trusts the most. So he stopped forcing things to happen. He started letting them unfold. And when he did, life didn't fall apart. It fell into place. Because control is exhausting, but trust is efficient. He learned to move with life, not against it. And in that flow, he found what everyone is secretly searching for: peace without perfection. Eventually, he turned inward and faced the biggest illusion of all: identity. He realized he had spent his entire life playing characters: the achiever, the reliable one, the strong one, the one who always had it together. But these roles were masks. They kept him safe, but they also kept him stuck. So one night, he asked himself the question that changed everything: who am I when I stop performing? The silence that followed was terrifying, but also freeing. Because in that silence, he met the version of himself that didn't need to prove anything. The one that wasn't trying to be impressive, just present. He realized identity isn't found through achievement. It's revealed through honesty. When you stop pretending, you start remembering. Over time, his life became quieter, but richer, simpler, but deeper. He stopped asking, "What's next?" and started asking, "What's now?" He began to experience the world as it truly is, not as something to conquer, but something to cooperate with. He figured life out because he stopped trying to fix it. He started listening to it. He understood that happiness isn't built, it's uncovered. That meaning doesn't come from intensity, but from attention. He didn't need the world to change, he just needed to stop fighting it. And that was the moment everything clicked. People now ask him, "How did you figure life out?" He smiles softly and says, "I stopped trying to." Because life isn't something you solve, it's something you surrender to. The more you try to control it, the more it resists. But when you finally let it flow, it starts revealing its quiet wisdom. He didn't find peace by escaping the world. He found it by participating in it fully. No resistance, no pretense, no delay. And maybe that's the truth we all forget. You don't need to wait to live. You don't need to be ready. You just need to begin. Because in the end, the man who figured life out wasn't special. He was just brave enough to stop waiting for permission. He realized that the greatest failure is not falling short, it's standing still. He figured life out the moment he stopped mistaking caution for wisdom and hesitation for patience. He stopped surviving and started living. He didn't escape the chaos of life. He simply stopped mistaking it for himself.